All right, the Detroit Lions, where Brad Holmes, the general manager of the Detroit Lions, got in front of the media today. We see him a lot during the offseason. His time is the offseason. He doesn't really appear that much, if at all, during the season. That's Dan Campbell's time and the team's time. Brad Holmes today did his pre-draft presser, and he said a lot without saying anything, right? They asked him about a backup quarterback. They asked him about Jalen Carter. They asked him a lot, and he did the best he could in answering questions. There was a few things that I took away from it. This Jalen Carter debate, should the Detroit Lions take Jalen Carter, is the biggest enigma, in my opinion, in the last 5 years when it comes to the Detroit Lions draft. We kind of knew at 7, everybody had us taking Penei Sewell. I mean, even Jeff Okudah. They had us taking Jeff Okudah at 3, and we took Jeff Okudah at 3. Last year, not a lot to work with. It was the number 1 pick and then the number 2 pick. And now at they knew we were taking Aiden Hutchinson. But now, with this Jalen Carter thing, Jalen Carter was the consensus number 1 pick leading up to January. Then we know what happened. Then from that moment, somebody had a good point yesterday. They said none of the Jalen Carter work ethic stuff came up before he got in trouble with the law, right? So it makes you wonder. We've wondered. I have my personal feeling that the Detroit Lions will not take Jalen Carter. But it's a lot that Brad Holmes said. But one of the biggest things that stood out to me is Jalen Carter came for his visit on Monday, I believe it was. And this was his last time to kind of make an impact on the Detroit Lions. And I said in my video that this was his last chance. And from what Brad Holmes said today, quote, he said that he felt better after meeting with Jalen Carter. Now, what do you think that means? Do you think that means that he made a big enough impact to come to be drafted by the Detroit Lions if he's there at 6? A lot of people don't think he's going to make it past Seattle, but he may or may not. Brad Holmes said a ton today. And what I got from the press conference, along with whether or not he's going to take Carter, was we don't know what this guy's going to do. I also felt this, and this is kind of big for me to say. I feel like the Detroit Lions are in good hands with Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. There's a lot of wondering about, in Brad we trust. We did the same thing with Patricia, so don't act like you weren't, you might not have been one of them people that didn't have the "In Patricia we trust" shirts on. But we did the same thing with Matt Patricia. But it's a different feeling here from listening to Brad speak, listening to the direction of this organization that he wants to take it. I feel confident, even if he takes Jalen Carter. If Brad Holmes takes a quarterback at 6, I'm going to trust him. Like today was the things that he said today were things that said, you know what, Derek, you can trust this guy. You can trust. Now, actions speak louder than words, so he has to back up what he's saying. But he talked about from talking to Sheila. He said that Sheila has never told him no, but he's told Sheila no. Sheila has asked about a certain character or prospect or something, and he's had to tell her, like, no, I don't think that's going to be a good fit. But Sheila has never said no when it came to something that Brad Holmes has asked for. And I thought that was big. But just from Sheila down, and we got to give Sheila Ham some credit. Sheila Ham, from taking their time, hiring Brad, hiring Dan, our franchise is headed in the right direction. In the right direction, I'm sorry. Levis, Bijan, Carter, Anderson, Cansey, Wilson, Richardson at 6. Yeah, Carter at 6, definitely if no Anderson. So right now, this is your last chance. What do you want the Detroit Lions to do with Jalen Carter? Do you feel better from Brad Holmes' press conference about the Jalen Carter potentially drafting him at number 6? I know a lot of folks, they have never gotten off Jalen Carter. Like, no matter what this kid does, he is a generational talent, so you say, and you want him to be part of your team. I have my concerns, but if the Detroit Lions take him, then I will not have a problem at all. Rustin says trade back. Anderson or trade with the Eagles. So, like I said, the thing that I know for sure is what we don't know. We have no idea. But 1 week from today, we will find out what Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions are going to do. And like I said just a few minutes ago, I will trust anything that he does because he has earned it. After 2 seasons, Brad Holmes has earned it. They asked him about the villain hoodie and even dissecting the villain mantra that the Detroit Lions have adopted over the last month. He said that he loves hearing the speculation as to what it could mean. no one knows what it means but the internal staff. And I think that that's kind of cool, keeping it to themselves, but also letting us run with it. What that villain concept, he said he had no idea it was going to take off the way that it did, but it has. And they asked him about villain merch and stuff like that. So I'm excited for this draft. I think, and I think that we have to say, y'all, that the rebuild is over. I feel like after this draft, when this draft is complete, this draft, year 3 is the last process of the rebuild. It's not even them being on the field. To me, the actual draft is the end of the rebuild. So those are just my thoughts on this press conference. He said a lot to dissect. I would love to have brought it in to this show, but unfortunately it's just too long. But go watch it if you haven't seen it already. Outstanding video. And like I said, two things that I know. One, we don't know what they're going to do. You don't know. And 2, Carter is still in play. I'm going to say that the Lions will not draft him, but then I don't know. So let me know what you feel like in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. You know what to do. Don't forget, we're on live next week for the NFL Draft. And as always, go Lions.